We are not going to actually write our questions today unless something I say inspires you. You can quickly take a note on that, obviously. This is going to be the focus of our meetings tomorrow, is that we are going to actually sit down and write your questions for your market research. Okay. Why should we do market research? Any thoughts on why you would want to do market research? Anybody?
To find out who's interested in what you have.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to get that information. If I were thinking of it in a slightly broader answer, I would simply say because knowing is better than guessing. If you haven't asked the question, you're taking guesses. As we do this ideal client profile, what are we doing? Kind of guessing. We think that they're bothered by having their weight, but are they? Is it an annoyance or is it an embarrassment? Which word are we going to use? And when we actually start to provide that language as an option and they say, oh no, it's definitely that one, we go, great, I'll be using embarrassment from now on. So it allows us to know rather than guess. We did talk about how 95% of product launches fail. One of the things that market research does is it does build credibility, whether you're trying to create a persuasive marketing piece like our content or become a thought leader. So one of my goals is actually to become a thought leader. Market research actually will arm us with the facts to back up any of our arguments and claims. I talk a lot about statistics. I make a lot of claims that have to do with numbers, and people who are not like Tiffany is like me in the sense that she has this like interest in like a gazillion different little things and likes to get right to. So when I think it's interesting when each we're like, oh, that's an interesting statistic. Well, that's an interesting statistic. We love our statistics. We love our numbers. We love our research. It's kind of geeky and we love it. But it's nice to have information that you can actually point to that says, see, I'm not making this up. I have the actual research to show it. Market research can actually tell you where to go next. So there are different times and places to use market research, and it can actually tell you where to go next. And obviously, it gives you the head start on marketing to your ideal clients. So imagine you put out a request. Can I get some volunteers to help me do some market research? Are you this, and this? Would you be willing to fill out a survey for me? Would you be willing to have a 15-minute interview with me so that I can ask you some questions to better understand my audience? What have you just done? You just have people go, sure, I'll help you. I'm your ideal client. So you actually are already starting to develop, right, this ability to have this in with them where they just went from being totally cold to being lukewarm. In terms of being open to receiving information, open to hearing about, open to considering your offer. So that's one of the key reasons that I love market research, particularly in our online business world. We have, well, you're going to see in a moment, 2.9 billion Facebook users that we can access. It doesn't mean that they are all in our target demographic. I get that. But it allows you to open yourself up and actually expose yourself. Oh, that didn't sound good. Cucumbers. Anyway, Tiffany put up a post earlier this week and it was about gardening with cucumbers and it was very, very funny. My comment was inappropriate and okay, that's fine. That's my humor. I love it. So we want to do market research so that we can know instead of guess. One of the reasons that we have a tendency to feel that meek, scared, oh my gosh, I don't want to infringe. I don't want to come across pushy. I don't want to be aggressive. I don't want to be manipulative. All those ick things that kind of make us go, I'm just not going to. It's just safer to stay over here and not. not reach out, not put up the post, not try to have the conversation, not make the offer. One of the reasons is that we feel uncertain that our audience is open to receiving it. Market research actually helps to solidify in your mind, your audience is open to receiving it. It actually helps you feel better about what it is that you are offering. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword that way, in the sense that it brings people to you that are your ideal client, and it actually proves to you that what you do is valuable, important, needed, right? Okay. Yeah, you with me, Teresa? Are you still doubting?
No, I'm listening.
You with me on that one? Awesome.
Yeah, sorry.
No, don't be. You're paying attention intently. I'm just double checking. I like feedback. It's called a feedback loop. Yeah. I'll teach you about those. All right. So there you go. So when market research has actually been completed, sales and marketing feel more like serving and helping. And you don't feel like you need to convince your ideal customer, because you know they're already convinced. So that's my number one reason why I strongly suggest doing market research. It's actually more about you and how you feel about what you do and what you offer and what you charge than it is for them. Okay. All right. So market research, our goal here is to confirm 4 things. Number one, how big is the market for my product or service? So I'm going to give an example. I know somebody who a few months ago, when she first was coming to market with her new offer, she decided to niche down. She's actually a holistic nutritionist, and she decided to niche down and specifically work with people who are recovering from long COVID. Wow, sounds like there'd be a huge market for that, doesn't it? Because we are just coming out of a global pandemic where millions of people, and so she thought, without doing market research, that this should be a huge market for her. And it was a piece of guesswork. And so she spun her wheels for 3 or 4 months, marketing specifically to people who believe they have long COVID. And she encountered a couple of things. First and foremost, she encountered a lot of censorship from Facebook. Facebook themselves were censoring her left, right, and center. She got put in Facebook jail so many times, it was kind of crazy, for violations of community standards. So although there was an absolute need, here was the other thing, people weren't coming forward. We know there are possibly millions of people that suffered from long COVID, or are suffering, or are recovering, and yet she wasn't able to actually get people to come in. And part of the reason for that, she discovered when she did finally do some market research, was the controversy around that word. People don't want to go. Yeah, people don't want to go into COVID groups.
It's controversial.
Yeah.
Because
are you for or against vaccines?
Okay, got ya.
Are you for or against natural remedies? Are you for or against, right? So yeah, masks, vaccines, alternative therapy, like on and on and on it goes. And of course, she is offering an alternative therapy.
Right, okay.
So what I'm going to show you how to do is to actually market both on your page and in, like, on your personal profile, as well as in other groups, as well as in your own group or business page, whichever we determine. And Tiffany, we're going to talk about which one is right for you tomorrow, because I'm rethinking my initial belief about saying group, because I want to confirm with you what you are prepared to do in the group. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, but I've been rethinking it. So can you see how, had she done a little bit of research up front, she would have actually recognized and seen some of these obstacles before she did it. And she could then have made a more informed choice about, is this the right one? She actually has a specialization in cancer care. So to go into a niche that was dealing with COVID, to take advantage of a hot market trend, seemed on the surface like a good idea. But in the actual execution of it, turned out to be a weak idea, because she wasn't able to attract any clients as a result. And when I did an audit of her content. There's nothing wrong with her content. She's saying the things she needs to say, but somehow, because it in itself is such a polarizing issue, people weren't willing to speak up and ask for help. Also, when you're also thinking about COVID, well, there's this fancy, quick little cure down the street there that I can go and get for practically free. Why would I pay somebody to help me? But so you see how there's is there a market for it? Will people pay it is the next, oh, it's not the next one. Well, is there a market for it as part of will people pay it as part of the market? You want to be able to look at your competition. What are they doing? What is your point of difference? The fact of the matter is competition is good for your business. And we'll talk about that as well. I think that's next week as well. Actually, competition is good for your sales mindset. Competition is good for your business. It helps to promote your category. It helps to bring awareness. And it helps to cause consumers to go looking for alternatives because that's what we naturally do as consumers. It also helps us to pinpoint who's likely to buy my stuff and who isn't, and what campaigns work the best and which ones don't. And that includes where to advertise. So the first and most important thing, you've got two types of research. There's primary research when you're first launching, and that's what we're doing. We're doing primary research. This primary research is definitely more in depth than we would normally do if we were making a change. Maybe we were changing our offer. Maybe we are adding a new product to our offering. Those kinds of more minor changes, those fall under secondary research. We're doing primary research. You want to keep doing market research. Anytime you are going to be introducing a product line, changing your niche, starting a new business, there's other times and places that you want to do it. For us, those are the three most applicable. Anytime you're going to be making a major change like that, you want to make sure that you are actually aware, you're not guessing, you're knowing what your audience is looking for. When it comes to investigating your competition, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, they've already done some market research, I'll almost guarantee it. So by looking at your competition, you can actually start to see what kind of language. Are they speaking in a more evolved, I don't want to call evolved, that's not the right word. What is it when people use big fancy words? Are they using that kind of language? Or are they definitely using more grade 5 level English, right? And marketing 101 says use grade 5 level English. Don't overestimate the intelligence of your consumer. I know the people that I want to work with are above average intelligence. So I'm not concerned about using language that's a little bit higher. How is their offer presented? How are they doing it? Are they doing it in a Facebook group? Are they doing it on a page? Are they using a landing page? Are they doing a click funnel? Are they doing paid ads? How are they doing it? It can give you some clues about what might be your current or next step in your marketing development. What kinds of headlines are they using? Because typically, as I say, when we are looking at our competition and we're new, we know they've done enough research or they've had enough clients that they've started to uncover the specific things their clients are saying. So look at their headlines. What kinds of things does their offer include? One of the things that I knew from my competitive market research was I was going to be one of 3 coaches, and this would be business coaches as a category. I was one of 3 coaches that I could find that offer a program that includes one-to-one and group. All of the others that I could find were either group or one-to-one, but not the blend. And I may have shared this with you before. When I did a group coaching, the one thing I found was lacking was the one-to-one attention that actually showed me how to customize that to my business and implement it. And so because I felt that was lacking in the group that I participated in as a learner, as a paying client, I decided if I could see that that was something that was missing, and I knew from others in my group that they also felt it was missing, I went, oh, well, there's, not only do I love doing that, oh my gosh, there's a need I can fill in the marketplace. So understanding the competition can help you to add or subtract elements that you can contribute to your offer and what you do. The other thing that's important is pricing information. If you're planning on going to market and selling something at a $5,000 price point, but the highest price you can find is $1,000, you'd better be doing an awful lot to justify that premium. What if on the opposite hand, though, you're only charging $1,000 and everyone else is charging $10,000? You might be going, damn, I could be charging a lot more for this, right? So knowing what your competition does actually helps you to make some decisions simply to ensure that you are not ripping yourself off and also that you're maximizing on whatever efforts they're already putting into the marketplace. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So there's two different kinds of research. One is quantitative, one is qualitative. Quantitative is numbers, statistics, data-driven statistic, right? You're even if you ask a qualitative question, how do you feel about this? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about this? As soon as you add numbers, it's quantity. And it allows you to compare an apple to an apple. And that's what I love about quantitative research and analysis. You can now take two seemingly unique things and compare them to one another because you have a foundation to compare it with. So the reasons to use quantitative is because it's fast and easy to analyze. You get increased confidence in it being statistically significant. So if you did 10 interviews and one person tells you something, do you think that means that it's true for 10% of the population? Yeah, I can tell from Tiffany's face, she's like, yeah, that's not really a good sample size, Danielle. No, it's really not. But if, on the other hand, you did a survey and you spoke to 10,000 people and 1,000 of those gave the same answer, now you would say, oh, now it's statistically significant. I can rely on this information being true for 10% of the population. And this is why being able to attach numbers to our data or to our research helps us to get a better feel for it. Qualitative, on the other hand, is very exploratory. So now you're asking a lot of open-ended questions and you're looking for word choices. You are looking for motivations. You are looking for insights that you can't gather when you have a multiple choice question. So do you know when you do surveys or other feedback, do you ever do those feedback surveys, Teresa? Tell us what you think.
Oh, I don't know if I do that or not.
Walmart. Every time you go to Walmart, they circle that thing on your receipt and say, well, if you'd like to win $100 or whatever it is that you get to win, I can't remember now because I haven't been there in 2 years. You can just do this survey online, right?
Yes, yes.
If you do those surveys, they're using that information to get better at the way they deliver their product or service. You cannot find out unless you have one of those questions that says, was it other? Please explain. And it's the please explain part that can give you new information. But when we're having a conversation and you say something that makes me go, wow, that's really interesting. I'd like to dig into that further. Now I can get further and we're here face to face having a conversation or phone having a conversation. So we want to make sure that we're including both kinds in our market research because one confirms what we think we know, the other one gives us new insights. Really, that's the reason. And I could have summed it up much quicker by saying one confirms what we know and the other one gives us new insights. Okay, so this is why using both matters. So there are different ways to obtain that kind of information. So here's the how. A survey works in both, and it's the only one I could think of that actually works in both. Could you obtain survey style quantitative information from an in-person interview? Of course you could, because you're going to say, so how old are you and where are you and do you have any children? And you can still get quantitative information that way. But its purpose is not to strictly get the quantitative, it's to get the more robust feedback. Focus groups are something that are really good. So Tiffany, if you are ever introducing the next iteration, we were talking about what's new and coming. I think we do a focus group of, and you do focus groups typically of people that you already work with. So then we bring them together and we bring them together and we say, oh, so, knowing what the last one did for, and you can start to evolve that conversation and say, so this new, so if that product could have done this, how would you feel about that? So now as you look and think, okay, so that's a focus group. I don't suggest that anybody in this group does an in-market experiment. And the reason is we simply don't have the time and financial means to make that work. Once you've gotten a little bit bigger, and once you are perhaps launching that other product, Tiffany, we might do an in-market experiment. You've got like this really awesome, like diverse, wonderful, complex thing. And I'm just like, let me play with it. Anyway. A questionnaire is another way. So a survey, when I'm thinking of a survey, typically a survey is an online thing. So if you've heard of SurveyMonkey or Typeform or Jotform, those three, they all offer a free survey option. It's very, very basic survey, and that's okay. So that's one of the things that we're going to work on tomorrow is we're actually going to create a survey that helps us to capture a combination of two. That being said, I'm going to ask you to stretch yourself and do some in-person interviews as well. You're so funny. The in-person interview. The in-person interviews, though, they really should only last about 15 minutes. So it's not as though you're asking somebody to provide you with a huge amount of time, but you could even offer a nice little thank you to them afterward, whether it's a $5 Starbucks card or some little freebie that you can mail to them. I don't know. You can offer something to people. I've done a number of in-person interviews for people who were doing market research, and I was doing my own market research in the process. And so when they offered me those things, I was like, oh, no, thanks, not interested in that. I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. Honestly, I've got my own agenda here. And often people will feel that way. They just want to help you, especially if there are people who are already on your friends list on Facebook. If you're going into other groups, they may be less inclined to help you. They don't have the know, like, and trust factor, but the people on your actual connections list on your Facebook profile, those people will typically do it for you without any compensation. Typically. Okay, so we are going to do a survey for sure. Strongly recommend that we all do a survey, and you can also do a questionnaire. A questionnaire is a document that you would send and then have them send back to you, rather than a survey, which is an online link that automatically gets submitted and tallied into the reporting features and analytics of the software. Okay. Focus group, Tiffany and I will do it another time. In market experiment, possibly another time in the future. All right. So that's how we will do it. These are some examples of doing it a different way. So these are examples of simply going online and asking for feedback. The poll feature on Facebook is fantastic. But when you're using that poll feature, you really are trying to ask one question and get feedback on it. And I don't suggest doing poll after poll after poll after poll. People get bored of that, right? But a poll a day, why not? A poll a day every day for 5 days. Sure, you could. What are the 5 key things that are most important to you? The challenge with making a poll, though, is you need to be able to come up with at least 3 options or you will not get any feedback. So, Teresa, in one of yours could be imagine so I'm thinking of something around price and the investment. Or you could say, when considering choosing a new healthy lifestyle plan, which of these 4 factors do you consider first? Right? And then you could have price, variety, convenience, And I don't remember what the fourth one was that we keep talking about. It's left my brain. But you can do that way, okay? This one here with this question, in what way will a stressful relationship destroy your business? This just looks like it's conversational, doesn't it? This is actually a market research question. What are my ideal clients already thinking about this? This actually helps to reveal what are the pre-existing beliefs and values that my ideal clients hold. That's what that one is. Coaches, what problem do you solve for your clients? This one is a little bit vague, unless you're someone like me. I could have said, service-based entrepreneurs. What problem do you solve for your clients? So I can call out my introverted female coaches. What problem do you solve for your clients? So as you create the little initial headline, so in this case, coaches, could have been online coaches rather than offline coaches, right? This one down here, looking for coaches that are driven by kindness and are here to make the world a better place. These are the two qualities of my ideal client that I value the most. That they are kind and that money is a means to an end so that they can make the world a better place. So I just have 3 characteristics of my ideal client included in the opening statement. Now tell me about yourself. So I'm starting a conversation. I'm understanding what kind of coaches are they. Earlier this year, I played with the idea of niching further into only dealing with nutrition or health experts. One of the reasons I did that was from this. There's a lot of you out there. And I feel like I have a certain expertise in that area that I bring to the table that helps to round out. So I really did play with that idea. So it was a market research question. And then of course there's, hey, I've had an overwhelming call to niche down further. Would you be willing to have an interview with me? Or there's this one, hey, I'm considering this image or that image for my brand. Which one do you prefer? So you can use this as a market research to test your brand, your style guide. You can do it to test post ideas, imagery, logos. You can start to ask questions. You can start to get people to reveal themselves. And this is all free on Facebook. There's no paying for this. So I'm just trying to show you that there are multiple ways you can do market research that simply looks like a post. That you are still getting valuable, actionable information out of. Did that help to see these? Yeah, okay, good, good. We will work on a variety of them and we're going to go into greater detail of how to create things like this for ongoing research when we're doing the content creation. Tomorrow, we're going to devise at least one poll and one that's more like conversational, like this one, or this one. Okay, we're going to do that tomorrow. So when we're talking about our actual survey, we don't want to make it too long. That's an important element of any survey. You want to be able to say to somebody as you're asking them to help, would you be willing to take this 10-minute survey? Would you be willing to complete this 5-minute questionnaire? Would you be willing to meet with me for 15 minutes and ask for some questions or answer some questions? It's very important that we tell people how much time, but that means that you need to be very clear on the details that you're trying to get. This causes and forces you to actually be very, very focused on it. Okay. I will suggest that when you're doing the survey or the in-person that you create something that's got a blend of open and closed questions. And just because we haven't covered that in this group, what's the difference between open and closed?
Open, you have to explain something, and closed is yes or no.
Perfect. 1 to 2 word answer for closed. It's this or this. It's this or this. Pick one. Yeah. Okay. Then we have to decide where we're going to find those volunteers. And as I just finished saying, the connections you have in your Facebook friends list are typically eager to help you. And then we have to decide how and where will you provide the link or the file, right? So where? Everywhere. Most companies get less than 1% response rate. They send out a million emails, literally a million emails, and they'll be lucky to get 50,000, 10,000 responses. So there has to be a lot of asking to get only a little bit. And you might be going, oh my gosh, it feels like such a waste. Why all that effort for such a little bit of return? Didn't you say return on investment, Danielle? Return on effort. I promise you that the information that you get back from this is absolutely worth it, no matter what amount of time that it costs you. And I'm suggesting that what we're going to do from start to finish, you will have finished your market research by Friday. So this is the goal, that we start today, you're learning the basics, tomorrow we create your questions, finish your questionnaire, you're actually posting links, asking people to do it Tuesday night. So that on Wednesday, you're already starting to get responses. And you can actually start acting on as few as 5 responses. Okay. So if you have an Instagram profile, you're going to be putting up a call to action there. If you have a group or a page, if you have TikTok, if you're willing to do a reel, any and all, if you've got LinkedIn, if you've got, excuse me, YouTube, I have hiccups now all of a sudden. My gosh, what are all the other? Well, that's all of the other. There are, oh God, sorry, hiccups. I promise I haven't been drinking. There's an awful lot of social media out there. And doing it on your own profile page, absolutely, you're going to be able to get feedback from your friends. And I would suggest to you, because we are going to write it in such a way, I'm looking for 10 women who are ready to do X. And I'm asking for your help to complete a survey. Oh, you're not trying to sell me something? Okay, I'll do a survey. Most people won't make the link between a survey and, oh, you're going to follow up with me later. Some people will. They're actually in the minority. So don't worry about them going, oh no, they're going to think I'm selling to them. Oh my gosh, this is sleazy. It's not. I promise you it's not. So what we want to know for sure, and I have said this before, choose one platform. When you are first starting, there is such a huge learning curve. Learning to run your business, you do not need to also be learning 10 programs on top of it. It creates confusion. And unless you have one of those minds that can learn 10 completely uniquely different things all at the same time, that have no interconnection other than the fact that they run on a computer, unless you've got that mind, I really would suggest focusing in on the one for the start, and we layer in the others in a reasonable amount of time. That being said, last week I started my YouTube channel.
Did you really?
I did.
What is it?
It's called the Consistent Income Creators Club.
Oh, okay.
There you go. So it doesn't mean, like, I'm not saying it has to be a year away. Absolutely not. You want to start a blog, you want to start a YouTube channel, you want to, and really depending on who your ideal client is, which we're just going to talk about, and this is one of the reasons that age group matters. Depending on how old your ideal client is and what their interests are, that will actually determine which social media platform they like the best and they're on the most. And just because you like Facebook doesn't mean they do. And if you want to actually have a business instead of an expensive hobby, you need to play where they are. Makes sense, right? I think that makes sense. So who do you want to sell to? Really speaking, I don't think too many of us are trying to sell to the silent generation, the great generation, the ones that gave birth to our parents. You're not a boomer, are you, Tracy? You're a Gen Xer, aren't you, technically?
Yeah, I'm right at the edge.
Okay, that's what I thought. But that
Yeah.
would make your mom one of the people that was giving birth to right?
Yeah.
Post-war. So she herself may be a boomer, but depending on
She's
how
a
old she is,
boomer.
there you go.
She's a
There you
boomer.
go.
She's in the beginning.
I was gonna say, it's just that she was like, here's the line.
Yeah.
My dad is like that. My dad is one of the ones that's literally right on the line between, you know, the silent generation, the great generation, and this. So really, when we're thinking about who are we dealing with, we're only going to talk about 4 generations that actually apply to the people that I work with. I'm not going beyond that. I used to deal with the great generation. If you want information about them, I will tell you. So Gen Z, which are the under 21s, under 22s, sorry. Millennials, that are the 23 to 37, 36. Gen X, that are, actually, I guess they're now 39, actually. Gen X, which is 40 to 56 right now, 57 right now. And then Boomer, which is the 57, 58 and up. I could have my math wrong. Please don't quote me on that. I actually don't give a crap what your generation is, but it matters in marketing. So this is why it matters, because each of these generations actually use social media for a different purpose. They use it for a different purpose, and they use it differently, and they're on different platforms. So is anybody here selling to a Gen Z, an under 22 crowd? Not specifically, right? That's not your target. When I asked you, how old is your ideal client? What did you write down?
40 plus.
What about you, Tiffany? Okay, so then that puts yours in millennials. Okay, so we're not going to worry about who the Gen Z are and what their needs are. Although I will say to you, first generation to be born with a phone in their hand. They get technology like nobody's business. So if you're gonna deal with and work with Gen Z, you really need to know your shit. I mean, your technology. Okay. So just so you know, I have a trucker's mouth. I swear like a sailor. In fact, I say this so proudly. I shouldn't say this proudly. In 2006, I was supposed to have a dedication ceremony to my late husband. And we had just moved into a new development, a new home, new build, new development. And we were supposed to be having this dedication ceremony in our backyard, and those buggers overpromised and underdelivered with the grass. We were less than a week away from the ceremony. I still didn't have grass. I had a big, giant, muddy swamp.
Oh.
And so I finally went up to the construction office and I let him have it. We happened to be friends with the site plumber. And he was standing with us and talking one time, and he was killing himself laughing. Apparently the site superintendent said, that woman over in lot 91, holy crap, has she got a mouth on her? I have never heard such language coming out of a woman. That woman swears. So I do swear. I swear a lot. But I try not to do that professionally because it may offend people. So if I do and you're offended, I'm saying this so that you'll tell me. If you're not offended and you'll let it go, that's fine. But if you're offended, please let me know, because sometimes it'll slip out. So millennials, if Gen Z is using it to kill time, millennials are actually using it to connect with their peers around the world. Millennials are more likely to do business on social media than any other. 72% of millennials have identified that having social media is absolutely essential to them. They could not give it up. That's crazy. They would rather give up their car. What? Look at Tiffany's like, yeah. And I think that's crazy. So the thing about millennials is that they migrate and congregate on Instagram and Facebook. And it really will depend on the purpose and what you have to offer. So I did a lot of research about Instagram and having nutrition advice and pain management. Facebook. So I did some research to confirm that. The reason is millennials are expecting you to actually create a lifestyle around your brand, right? Have you noticed that a lot of advertising for kitchen appliances and such is now all about the whole family getting, it's not just mom doing her good little housewifely duty with her apron and her spoon and a smile and pearls. It's not that anymore. Mom is in the kitchen, dad's there, child is there, they're all in it together. This is a lifestyle now. So with millennials, we need to create more. They also have extremely high expectations of customer service. We could go into why that is psychologically, but we won't. Gen X. Gen X use social media to learn, literally to learn. Do how-to videos, tutorials, pull something apart. Like all of like the nitty gritty, the ins and outs of a fart. That's what the Gen Xers want, right? They are natural self. Natural, yeah, ins and outs. Sorry, it's Martin's expression, the ins and outs.
I love that. I love it.
I have a few British expressions now because of him. So for the Gen Xers, and Teresa, for you, I think that your audience, I think you identified was going to be Gen X. So first and foremost, we're talking Facebook and YouTube. Those are the places to reach your Gen X audience, which is why I went on to YouTube. It was always the plan to go onto YouTube. In fact, I started planning my YouTube channel before I started planning my Facebook group. And I realized, oh, it's much easier to build a following and a community on Facebook than it is on YouTube. You can migrate people from Facebook to YouTube. You will have more difficulty migrating people from YouTube over to Facebook though. YouTube is really casual, and YouTube is like a time sucker, I swear. And Martin and I are typical Gen Xers from that perspective. Oh, I have an idea. We're just naturally like, oh, I want to learn more about that. Oh, I bet you I could do it. I've had conversations with people recently where we're talking about, I don't need to go and take a course for that. I'll just go and do it on YouTube. And we're talking building a house.
Yeah.
Installing a septic system. Like, we're not talking little things. These are major, and you can learn how to do this on YouTube. And this generation, that's what we want to do. Okay? Because we are self-starters. And that does come from being the original latchkey kid generation. And that was when mom went out of the home to work and we were left to fend for ourselves. So we started to take on adult responsibilities as children. And so we just created more self-starting, more initiative. All of that stuff just came more naturally to us. So with Gen Xers, if you can incorporate in your community how, that's why I do so much how in my group. I don't just say what you need to do, I show you how to do it, because I think that's really important to attract the kinds of people that I specifically want to work with, right? That being said, it doesn't mean that they don't connect, but I don't have a single high school person, not one, on my friends list. I have one family member. I do not use Facebook for that purpose. Boomers, though, they do. In fact, they are such slow adopters of using online as a method of shopping, doing business, incorporating it as a necessary daily. They give it up like, yeah, sure, no problem, bye-bye. If you are trying to work with boomers, you are actually better off doing, GMB means Google My Business. So having a Google My Business page where people can get your hours, your phone number, all of that basic stuff. They could book there, they can see your products there. Having a Google My Business page for a boomer, because they're going to go into a search engine, they're going to reflexologist near me, Home Depot, tube cutters. You know, I'm not just making things up now. But that's what they're going to do. They're going to do a search on Google for that. They're not going to go in social media, where I would actually be more inclined to go on YouTube. honest to goodness, I will go on YouTube to search things before I'll go anywhere else. Look, Tiffany's agreeing, she will as well. So, so if you are trying to cater to a boomer audience, I would absolutely suggest you need a website. Can you have Facebook as well? Certainly you can, but I would recommend a page, not a group. Because boomers are not going to have the community the same way. They just don't see this as that vehicle for that, okay? So do you see how understanding who your audience is going to dictate a lot about your marketing plans?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did gather some bits of information about Instagram and Facebook for us, because I thought this would be interesting and important. So Facebook has 3 billion users. Obviously, we're not trying to attract all of them. But you can see here that their largest age demographic is that 25 to 34, which is the millennial. That is their highest. The Facebook's highest age category of users is 25 to 34. So if that's where your target client is sitting, that's where you need to be, is on Facebook. And remember, that target audience is also looking for community, lifestyle. They want to have conversations about their products, their brands, and their options. They don't just want information thrown at them, okay? I will say that of all of the platforms, although none of them have a large slice in terms of their demographic, you know, there's the Gen Z, the Gen X, the millennial, the boomer, the great, out of all of them, none of them have the largest slice of pie as the Gen X, not even YouTube. Yeah, none of them, that's their largest slice. And I think that is because we did not grow up in this generation with computers and internet. So it's not a natural instinctive part of our life. It's a, oh, I enjoy that, I'm going to layer that in, where can I put it? But we have this world of necessity that we feel the need to take care of first, using the internet as an add-on. It's something we enjoy and we add on, rather than it being an essential part of our lives. So I think that's why none of them have their largest demographic being the Gen X. However, if you are thinking about dealing with Gen X and Boomer, they are on Facebook. When we compared Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and all the others, comparing them as an apple to an apple, Facebook had a 27% audience that's in the Gen X range. Nobody else was as high as 27%. Okay. I'm not so worried about the female to male, because one of the things I did notice was that no matter which social media platform I looked at, it was predominantly male. So don't worry about that. Time spent per day seemed to be about average across. One thing that I will mention, if you are ever considering doing paid advertising, it doesn't matter whether your ideal client is on there. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter if your ideal client is on there. Facebook is establishing themselves as a go-to marketing expense. Their ad revenues, although their new accounts are basically stagnant, they're at a plateau. They're not actually building their audience. They've been at 2.9 billion for the last 6 years. But their ad spends, so although they're not getting new users, the amount of money that people are spending to advertise on there is skyrocketing. And what that tells us is that it's a highly engaged marketplace. So if I'm taking my money out of magazines where I have no concept of what I'm getting out of it, and I'm putting it in Facebook, it means that I'm moving money out of this and into this, and Facebook is the place where they're moving it. That's a very, very good indicator that this is an excellent marketing option. Does that make sense? Okay. This was just, I like charts. So worldwide, you can see right here, this and this are the Gen X right here, 35 to, well, it's actually more like 40, but so 35 to 54, this one here, right? Compared to this one here. So Teresa, or sorry, not Teresa, Tiffany, I think we need to develop, see how there's this to this? We need to develop an element for you that includes Instagram. I actually have been doing some research about some of those. I used to use Hootsuite. I don't like it. It's not my favorite, but it posts to multiple platforms at once. So you're not trying to go and spend a lot of time. You can actually pre-plan and schedule the same post to go on multiple channels all at the same time. So we save you time by using something like that. And they have free versions. The one that I am testing right now starts with an M. What is it called here? Metricool. So this one actually seems to be a full service. This is probably going to be the one that I'm going to suggest to you, but we'll get there. So one of the beautiful things about looking at charts, of course, is that it lets you see in an instant, wow, those are some tall bars. Right? Tall bars. They are actually not that much taller than this. That's just, so 14.8 versus 12.6, 7.9 versus 8.3. It's actually about equal, but because it is about equal, that's why you need to hit both if you are dealing with a millennial audience. Once you get into the Gen X 4.5, oops, wrong way, 4.5 and 5.2. So 5.2% are on Facebook, oops, wrong way, and only 4.5 on Instagram, Teresa. So I know that you have your Facebook set up right now to automatically post to Instagram. That's great. For Tiffany, I'm suggesting that we create separate content that is directly targeting that audience on Instagram. Teresa, I'm saying keep going with letting the same content migrate over. Okay. So this also has a handout. Oh, look at that. I'm almost on time. Isn't that awesome? Because that's it.
Great.
That's it. That's all. That was all I wanted to talk about for today. Doing market research it can feel overwhelming at first when you've never done it before. And this is why I want to sit and go through and create your questions with you tomorrow. If you feel inspired to do that today, oh my gosh, please start with your questions if you feel inspired to do that. Here's the thing. No question you ask is going to cause damage. No question you ask will harm your effort. The only thing that it may do is not quite get you as clear as you want it to go. Could be extra fluff. Like that would be the worst case scenario. But if you're like me, fluff matters. I like the fluff. I want to know the fluff. So there's no harm in asking a question that has not fully addressed what it is you're trying to uncover. Here's the beautiful thing. You've got their name and number. What a beautiful reason to be able to get back in touch with them. I was so intrigued by your answer, and I'm wondering if you could clarify for me. I have some follow-up questions. Would you be open to meeting with me for 5 minutes? And that's actually the process I'm going to suggest to you. We are not going to actually do a call out for, hey, will you do an in-person interview with me? Once you've received responses back, now we're going to say, thank you so much. And the feedback you gave me actually led me to have more questions. Would you have 10 minutes to spend with me so I can ask you to clarify a little bit? 10 minutes. Right? That's what I'm actually going to suggest that you do, rather than, so if you're going into a group like Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs, in order to put up a post like that, you actually have to be a paying member. Yeah. And the reason I know that is because I put up a yesterday or the day before, I attempted to put up a poll and it was declined because I'm not a paying member anymore. So that's how I know that you might be able to get away with it. Maybe it's because I'm also in Facebook jail. Maybe something came up and said, this woman violates community standards. Your video is about somebody singing Bohemian Rhapsody in there. Mamma mia, mamma mia. Have you guys seen that video of the girl that's singing in the three-way mirror in the bathroom? It's hysterical. I will find it and send it to you, Teresa. Martin actually came running into the office one day. You gotta see this, you gotta see this, you gotta see this. He shows me, I'm killing myself laughing as I'm watching it. Look like anybody you know? Yes, yes, I would do this. I would absolutely do this. That's why I posted it. Anyway, yeah. And then I got in trouble. Facebook said, you don't own the rights to that song. So I have violated community standards because I don't own the rights to that song. It's not even my video.
Yeah, right.
Whatever. What can you do? I'm learning things though about getting put in Facebook jail that I get to pass on to you guys. Because now I'm actually taking greater risks. Now I've established certain base things enough that I'm taking risks from like, well, how about if I do this? Well, how about if I do that? Because, and Teresa and I have talked about this, so a question to pose to you, Tiffany, and to anybody that's watching the video in the future. I am the kind of person that will take risks and beg forgiveness later. Oh, gee, I didn't know I wasn't. Oh, gee, so sorry. I didn't realize I shouldn't do that. I won't do it again. That's me. I do that. If you are not that kind of person, if you are the kind of person that says, no, I can't do that. I need to have permission first. I really need to make sure first that this is okay to do. I wasn't going to single you out.
Yeah.
But we approach it differently, right? And so it's something that I will ask, which one do you think you are? Because then that will actually dictate what suggestions I will make about what you can and can't do, or yeah, can and can't to a degree. I don't like the word should, could do, and what you might be less willing to try, right? So it just helps me to be better at serving you if I know the answer to that question. Anyway, ladies, do you have any questions?
No, other than my meeting is tomorrow at
6 a.m. your time.
Okay.
It still has meeting today at 5, and so I had to delete those ones.
Yeah. So is that other one you sent me the one for tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. And I will resend the invitation to today's, because this is the same link we'll use every week.
Okay. So I just go back to that one and click. Okay. Okay. I never am sure.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
It was just easier for Zoom to do it this way.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
All right. Any questions for you, Tiffany? No? Okay. Well, ladies, I will see you both tomorrow. I will see you at 6 a.m. your time. I will see you at noon your time. All right. And Amy, I will see you at 11 your time. She's in the same time zone as me, so it's it. All right, everyone.
All right.
Wonderful rest of your evening. I'm going to go and enjoy some fireworks. I love fireworks.
Awesome. Have fun.
Yeah, I'm quite sad that I don't have a dog to protect this time around.
Oh.
I'm not dwelling on it. If I dwell on it, I will cry. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, enjoy your evening, and I hope that you guys get fireworks next weekend and you get to enjoy them. And I will see you both tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great rest of your night. Bye, guys.
Bye.